Hello and welcome back to my workshop. Today I'm going to be talking about sanding, and more specifically I'm going to be reviewing my latest toy, which is the Triton either bobbin sander or spindle sander, take your pick, and the model number is the TSPS450. TSPS450, yeah. Oscillating spindle sander, so that's its official title. So I don't know many people who enjoy sanding. I get a satisfaction out of seeing the end result, but the actual sanding itself is a bit of a pain. So I tend to have quite a few power tools to try and help me with it. I've got my random orbital sander, which I'll leave a link to my review of that. So that's great. I use that a lot. I've got my buck tool belt sander, which I haven't done a review on that yet, but when I do a review I'll add a link to it. So that's the belt sander. I found that I couldn't, with these reindeers that I'm making for the Christmas fairs, I found that I couldn't get into these intricate curves in here with any of the current sanding tools that I have. So I bought from Screwfix effectively a drill bit set. So these just go into your drill, and you've got various sanding discs, 80 grit, 120 grit, yeah, 80 and 120, and they come with the various different sized drums depending on what you're trying to sand. So I found those were quite good, and I used particularly the small one. I used in my hand drill, in my DeWalt power drill, which I'll also leave a review to, a link to the review. So I could go around in here. It looks okay, but then I had the genius idea to put these into my pillar drill so that I could actually press against, add something to actually press against, as opposed to holding the hand drill and trying to move everything. So I used these in my pillar drill for a while, and they were okay, but I couldn't help thinking that there ought to be a better solution, a purpose-built solution, effectively, and there is. So I have myself a spindle sander. So this allows me to, this rotates and oscillates, and it allows me to run my curves around, and this will sand it for me, and I can put, because it's designed for the job, I can put as much pressure as I want against it, whereas with my pillar drill I found it making some strange noises when I was applying too much lateral pressure. So I bought this second hand from Facebook Marketplace. I paid £100 for it. It had hardly had any use, apparently. Seems in good condition. I think from Screwfix they are £160 or £165, but it doesn't ship to the Isle of Man like with most things that are over a certain weight. I mean, this is a cast iron bed, and it's solid, and so they won't ship it to the Isle of Man. So not only did I get it sort of two-thirds price by buying second hand, I also found, you know, it was already on the island, which is a consideration when you live on a small island where shipping is difficult. So it comes with various different sized discs. There's a smallest one I don't appear to have. They've all got rubber inserts, and then you put your sanding drum around the rubber drum, and I don't appear to have the smallest one, and I don't know whether I've lost it in the few weeks that I've had this, or I suspect he took it off at one stage and the previous owner took it off, and it's gone. So I may contact him, see if it's lying around in his shed anywhere, but it's no real biggie, because the next one up is pretty small as well. So again, if you're sanding big surfaces, big curves, then you can certainly use this big one to go down into the curve and do that. But then if you're doing little curves like this, then this little one, the second smallest one, which I have got the rubber insert for, is going to be fine to get in there and do all that. So no great loss that I haven't got the smallest one. It'd be nice. Now it came by default with 80 grit sandpaper. I had bought a full set of 120 or 150. I don't know if it's 120 or 150 grit discs, which I have used on one of these. I can't remember which one I've used now. So basically, choose your drum, and there are various places to store all this on the back of the Triton. There are little spindle holders that they can all go in, and it also holds the magical spanner. So you just loosen that off. And I am going to do, I think I'll try the 80 grit, and then each of these you basically want to replace this with the one that's designed for the job, for the particular size. So that's that one, and it just stops your workpiece going down into here. So that sits in there. So I'll try the 80 grit. I may resort to changing to the 150 or 120, whichever one it is. Tighten that up, just so that basically squeezes the rubber. The rubber then expands and holds the sandpaper nice and tight. And there's a little place at the back for that to go as well, as well as all of the spindles. And each of these discs, each of the different size discs that goes on here, there's a place to hold all those as well. So that's quite nice. Just give you a little view of the actual machine itself. So there it is. That's the spindle sander. So these all go in their own little place, and around the back here there are spindles for each of those to go on as well. So it's a well put together machine, well thought out machine, and I've enjoyed it a lot for the small amount of time that I've been using it. Right, so for sanding these little reindeers that I'm making for the Christmas fairs, I'm going to be using a combination of the belt sander and this spindle sander. I should be interchanging between them depending on what part of the reindeer I'm trying to sand. And at the very end, I'll actually use a piece of hand sandpaper just to take the edges off. But these two machines between them will do pretty well everything I need. So I'm going to turn the dust extraction on. This goes in the back here. It's very good. Just draws all the dust down through these holes here. So it's going to get a bit noisy, so I should put some ear protection on. Okay, so hopefully that gave you an idea of how I'm using it. Yeah, it is 150 grit. It's Triton specific, 150. I'm sure you can get third-party, you know, ones that in theory will be the same size. But this is Triton stuff, and it's 150 grit, and that worked much better. The 80 grit was just being a bit rough on the wood. As I say, I don't know how much use it's had, so it may be that it's had more use than I think. That particular drum may have been particularly heavily used. I mean, some of them do look as if they have had a bit of use on them. Others look completely unused. Yeah, so I'm loving this machine. It's in combination of my orbital sander and my belt sander and this. I can now sand all of the different surfaces that I'm cutting, and I do a lot of curved work. So this is particularly useful. I've used 4 or 5 of the different spindle sizes so far, and they do work well. You know, switching, and the great thing is it's really easy to switch between the spindles. It's so quick that I would quite happily, you know, I am planning to use a combination of 80 and 150, and you know, I'm planning to switch between and the different sizes and stuff because it's so easy. So that's great. You'll see if you look at my belt sander review that this is an absolute nightmare to change. So I've never even changed apart from the first couple of times, I've then not changed this belt because it's just such a nightmare to do. Whereas this is an absolute dream to change. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about that machine for now. If you have time to like the video, that would be amazing, and if you had time to subscribe to the channel, even better. And until my next video, stay safe. Thank you.